Hello, hi, and welcome again to the Terminal Podcast, where in the end, it's all about the numbers. I am your host. We are broadcasting high above Pacific Center Station, and the numbers around Metro Atlanta 29 north on 400 of the perimeter and 27 west on 20 to Six Flags. It's a little traffic heavy, even though you can't see it here between the 85-75 cross. But if you head south, it's just 17 minutes to the airport. If you're just flying in, the Braves just flew out and will land somewhere in Queens. What is it, LaGuardia or I can't remember the one that's out there. Either way, uh, that there's three against the Mets to start a six-game homestand. This is a show about baseball when in season. And Chris, do you remember when cell phones were regulated by minutes and text characters? Do you remember
Yes.
that?
Yeah. And after 9 o'clock, all hell broke loose.
Oh, good, because that was when it broke down. I
Yeah.
got that from Josh Johnson, right? Josh Johnson, hardest working mainstream comic. He's clips everywhere. Black guy,
Yeah.
little
Yeah. Yeah.
dreads. He's
Yep.
on the Daily Show.
Yeah.
He's at a show, and I saw it on Facebook because his clips are everywhere, and he was talking about this. So I just want to give credit where credit's due. But it was a different time. I mean, he was trying to explain it to a crowd. And it's like it's hard to explain that. Yeah, no, there was a time when you had to limit your phone calls because you only had an X amount of minutes to call during your plan, and it was free after hours. And do you remember the texting one? Was it the number of characters you could send in a
No, it was just total number of texts.
it was
But original texting did have character limitations too, I believe.
it was almost like Twitter when it was
But
the
it was
original
like you could
Twitter when
send
it
a
was
hundred texts in a month, or like in a month or something, or
yeah, it
whatever.
was
Yeah.
yeah.
It was
Anything
all
that can
made up because magically after 9 o'clock, the satellites didn't need to work anymore. So you could call, like, you were just being hosed.
yeah, well, because it was less people on then. I thought that was
Right.
the excuse. Look, anything to avoid talking about the latest three-game sweep of the Mets by the best team in baseball in their building, with two different ninth inning end of game losses. But more importantly, all three were poor starts by the starting pitching. Um, the two that we kind of expect more from Senga and Minaya, but Montas, I realized this, and it's not the kind of thing that I realized this and I went to sleep. I hadn't thought about it since. Is Uncle Stevie will eat 8 to 10 million and make Frankie Montas's deal next year just be a $8 to $6 million deal for a starting pitcher, and David Stearns can move that, can't he?
Uh,
Right?
maybe.
I mean, as part of something else, it's like we'll eat 6 to 8 off his deal,
Yeah, I mean,
and
you can eat money and always move somebody.
yeah,
How much you're
that's
willing
the
to eat?
so he's movable. So that's the point. It's not. It was a 2 year deal. The next year is for 16 million. I say all this because Montas, of three bad starts against the Brewers, he had the worst. he
Right.
was he wasn't even a starter. Reed Garrett pitched the first inning, went 1, 2, 3. He comes in, goes 3 innings, 3 hits, 3 runs. Only one of them was earned because Francisco made a huge error. But his ERA is 6.38. You can't trust him to do anything. It's of 27
What?
possible innings, the Mets starting starters pitched 11.1. Uh, as a collective, as Mets starting pitching, the Dodgers, they've thrown more starting innings than the Dodgers by like an inning and a third.
Well, that's
Like
that's by games. I'm actually looking at the
I'm told,
averages right now.
average. I'm saying total. Oh yeah, average wise, if we're lucky to get 5 innings total,
Okay. So let's
it's
dive in. Let's dive into this because this was
okay.
big on local sports talk today. So I decided to dive into the numbers.
Okay.
The Metropolitans get 5 innings per start
Yeah.
on average, which puts them at 26th
Mhm.
in Major League Baseball.
With I'm gonna assume the Rockies, the White Sox, and I think
Oh
Dodgers
no,
are
no,
down
you're right.
there.
Sorry, the Dodgers
Are right
are
there.
last.
Yeah, they're last,
Now you
and
say,
then they're
oh,
right.
because they're doing Otani, whatever, but they're still last.
They're still
You know
last.
who gets the same 5 innings from their starters?
I do, but please tell the others.
Who?
The same 5 innings, Milwaukee,
Yeah, the
Chicago.
Milwaukee Brewers, who you just got swept by.
Uh-huh.
The Detroit Tigers, the best team in the AL. So
Mm-hmm.
here, take that talking point and throw it out the fucking window.
Well, yes. I mean, you talking about for me or just in
No, just
general?
that's been
It,
today, the last 48 hours, that's been the talk.
oh,
I want to say Howie Rose or Gary Cohen even said something about it on one of the broadcasts this
well,
weekend.
that was the thing because what's the I can't Steve Gelbs was out
But
there
maybe it
with
was
Keith
Gal. Maybe
Hernandez.
it was
It
some
was Gelbs
broadcaster
and
was like, "This
Hernandez.
is
Yeah,
not
it was
sustainable." Yeah, yeah,
Gelbs and
yeah. Well,
Hernandez
the team
said
that
that,
just swept your ass, it was sustainable for them.
but they had a great start from
You know who gets
Brandon
the second
Woodruff.
most innings pitched out of their starters? The Diamondbacks, who stink.
It's a mindset. It's a thought,
No,
and
no. Pitching is whole staffs now. That's what it is.
Mhm.
Again, I have this argument. We had this argument on this podcast. I was arguing with my dad three
I,
times a month. Get out of your old mindset of how baseball was played. It's just not played that way anymore. And if you people don't get over it, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking about the people like, we need to
I know.
get 7 or 8 innings out of a starting pitcher.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
well, it doesn't happen.
The thing is, and I've said this, it was one of the numbers that I would go through. It's you need a quality start. You don't need
Right.
necessarily innings. I need a quality start. I need you to go 6, 7 innings and only give up 3 runs. If you give me six and give up 3 runs, which is I want to say it's a 4.5 ERA, isn't it? It's like it's not a great ERA if you do that,
Right.
but it's serviceable. You've given me 6 innings, you've given up 3 runs. I can work with that. That's a quality start.
But
That's the
again,
starting pitching I
quality
need.
starts, you've had 30. The Dodgers have had 33. The Brewers
Yeah.
have had 35. The best on this on Baseball Reference is the
Mm-hmm.
A's are just listed as athletics.
As they are. They don't have it. They don't. They.
They don't have a city. That's great.
I thought they've asked to not have a city because
Yeah, maybe. I just realized that
Yeah,
when I was looking at this. Again, the Tigers have 40 quality starts. Like the Tigers are right in the middle.
it's a mindset. It's a old.
Again, the Tampa Rays played stiff in the playoffs.
It is this
Have
melding
52.
of. It's a melding of the mindset of the game, and actually, I can transfer. So we continue pitching, but I'm going to ask you before I get into what I was going to talk about, which is how do you feel about the Yankees, or is this coming to what Ian O'Connell was saying for the Athletic? Is that the Mets, if the Mets were winning, if this wasn't the conversation, they would be the loudest thing in the city because the Yankees are losing. They had a
Well,
chance, is what he
it's
was
shifted.
saying.
It shifted a little as because the Yankees were playing really bad. The Mets had won like a game or two and weren't on like a losing streak.
Yeah,
And once the Yankees won like 2 games, then boom, it
it
switched.
shifted back over.
Yeah,
Okay,
because the
but
Mets are on a losing streak. The
yeah, it's a
Yankees have
streak,
peppered in a win here and there.
and you're only a half game up on Cleveland for the final wild card, and meanwhile,
The Mets
the
have bequeathed the fifth most amount of runners. I love these stats. That's
bequeath.
what it's called, bequeathed runners.
Oh, is that you mean allowing inherited runners to score?
No, I guess that means just the most. That's the how many runners have been on base total when you go to the bullpen.
Oh, yeah,
It
yeah, I
doesn't.
can
It's
see
not
that.
bequeath. Well, I guess they call it bequeathed runner scored. The Mets are third. So
Okay.
that's where your recipe for disaster is. You only get 5 innings, but you're also giving up the third amount of runs.
Well, well, I can't say anything because the whole thing was for the first the it's 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 a staff, as you were
Listen,
saying, and
it
earlier in the season,
depends.
the Mets staff was built with that in mind, and they
Right,
had the in betweens of Max Kranick and Brazabon and
right. And the
Jose
only guy
Buto.
still pitching well out of the bullpen is Diaz.
Well, I'm saying, but those three were in the middle to get between the fifth and the sixth and the seventh inning to get to
Well,
Diaz
no, that's what I'm
and
saying. The
AJ.
only
This
guy that's
was
pitched quality out of the bullpen the last month and a half
Oh
is
yeah, yeah.
Diaz.
I'm what I'm describing was what it was in April and May and June, which built up the
Right,
lead to then lose it in July and injuries. Because all three of those people that I just named, Kranick and Brazaban and Buto, are no longer on the team.
right.
So it's like Brazaban's in AAA, but Kranick's done for the year, and Buto's what a Padre now. Didn't he come back and beat us? So that would become a Padre.
Yeah.
Um, or a Giant. No, he's a Giant. He's a Giant now because it was him and Wilmer Flores and Dom Smith because they all the ex Mets came up to show up in and Joey Luciano, the lefty, not Luciano, but Luciani or whatever his name is. It makes no difference. I don't want to talk about it anymore. I want to talk to you. We were just talking about the downside of starting pitchers, and we can add football because it's August, so it's time to start talking football. When is the height of starting pitching and running backs at the same time? Is it the 70s where they're both kind of, where they're both
Well, I think
revered
starting
and
pitchers had always been, but I mean, there was a dearth of great starting pitching in the
in the
70s.
70s? And but I mean, and it kind of, but I feel like it almost starts to downgrade. Even like in the early 80s, you kind of only have a few left,
Well, you start
but
to
the
move
running
to,
backs
you
are still there.
start, right. It was, yeah, the running backs lasted a little longer because you go into the 90s with uh, Emmett Smith and Barry Sanders
So
and
that's well,
even
you're
teams like still
early
had alpha
90s.
running backs. Like and the Bears still had Neil Anderson was their alpha running back. Again, the Giants had Rodney Hampton, who was their out. There was a
Oh,
clear number one back who got whatever 300 carries.
talking
You know,
running backs,
Eddie
it's
George, Jamal
yeah,
Anderson.
but Eddie George was also with Steve McNair, and that was a more dynamic offense because I want to say
Yeah,
isn't
but they
Frank
still
Reich.
handed the ball to Eddie
Oh yeah,
George
no,
a
oh
lot.
they gave it to Eddie George. I was gonna say, but and we're talking running backs. It's still a part of the lower versions of the sport we're talking about, which is football. I cover high school football on Friday nights, a tradition that isn't going anywhere from sea to shining sea, and we just described it. It's a virus, right? It's not a virus. It's a condition. It's a medical condition is the best way to describe it. That is apparent and horrent across the entire country, where you got high school football, you got college football, you got NFL, you got this love for all this stuff, this dearth of information, and we want it now. When we're willing to wait 6 days to watch it again and then complain about it even more, but the running back's still big in high school football. It's still big in college. The starting pitching is the only thing people concern themselves with when it comes to high school baseball, correct? And it's still big enough in college that I heard about Paul Skeens and the whole LSU staff and everything like that. I had to hear about how Dustin Johnson was part of this long line of pitchers from East Carolina, and then as the large righty was throwing a no hitter that became, for 8 1/3 39, that became his first complete. He didn't come his first complete game. He came close to his first complete game. He couldn't finish it. Uh, so as I talked about Paul Skeens and Dustin Johnson, and tell me again why starters aren't as important.
Well,
Is it?
I
Is it?
haven't. I mean, I'm not the one that's made that determination, but baseball has.
Mm,
I mean, they just have. They've gone
yeah.
to again expanded a roster to 26 spots.
Is that what is allowed
The
for it? Because they've limited to 13 can be pitchers. You can't go over 13.
right,
So half of your
but
roster can
having
be
that
pitchers.
extra roster spot,
Yeah.
gives you that 13 pitcher instead of 12, right? Because you now have there's so many more teams I think that have a super utility.
Oh, you
Meaning
mean
back in the day, a utility guy could play all the infield spots, right?
like Joe
But
McEwing?
now the super utility guy can play all your outfield spots and all your infield spots. Or sometimes it might even be like a guy like Kiner Falefa who can be your backup catcher and play all your infield and outfield spots. You know, the
So
real super
versus
utility guy.
so the versatility that you're describing,
Versus, well, just instead of whatever, who started at second for the 86 Mets? Backman.
well, Backman,
But
yeah.
like Tim Tuffle was a backup middle infielder,
Yes.
right? A second
Tuffle
and
was a
third.
second. He could play second and third. Backman was pretty much second alone, but yeah.
Right. So how many guys only play one or what percentage of guys? It's a lower percentage that only play one position now. Take it
Oh,
from a
you're
guy who
saying
plays the
now.
immaculate grid. And
You're going back. My team's what I'm thinking about, and I was just thinking about the fact that I only have a Mets jersey. It's a black jersey. There's no name on the back, and I was thinking if I did get a jersey that had a name on the back, it would have been Backman if I was in the 20th century. But I was thinking about it now. I think it would be R.A. Dickey. I think I'd get an R.A. Dickey Mets jersey. It I just loved his time with the team. Everything about what he did, and then he spawned Syndergaard and Travis Darno. You know what I mean? It's like
Right.
it's like everything about his time with the Mets. Um, I have it's not as much, but I have the same affinity for Rick Reed, journeyman starting pitcher,
Yeah.
97 to
He's
2001,
on
was
that
traded to the
2000 staff we
Twins.
talked about last time.
Yeah. 59 and 36 with a 3.66 ERA while pitching for the Orange and Blue in 5 seasons. This is Rick Reed. Rick Reed, complete journeyman, right? 8 complete games, 3 shutouts during that time. He was an all-star in 2 of those seasons, but what I feel I hold in more regard is that he averaged 30 starts a year and 888 innings as a Met, which is just under 200 innings a year. So Rick Reed has given me 30 starts and 200 innings. And
Yeah,
that's
it's
what's
different now. I
missing.
don't know what to say. I always have this breakdown with you about some part of modern baseball. It's different now. So get
No,
over.
I'm not. It's not that I'm getting. I long for a
Okay, I
starter that
long
can
for the
give me
days when I
innings.
wasn't fat, but I'm fat. Okay, like
Oh, we can't go back to the '80s. Come on now. That's
you
that's
just talked about
that's
Wally Backman.
well, that's true. We did go back that far, but is the going back to the '80s, the offenses of the 1980s when it comes to
What
football,
was that stuff I
it
used
was.
to eat? That
Yes, I know that joke. Um, but the the difference when it comes to the NFL, it's like I feel like teams, whereas we talked about it, you had offensive that were geared around around star running backs, but now it feels like people can just plug
yeah,
and play
any
running backs
schmo,
into their
and that's
system.
what they do with starting pitching. They care way more about their bullpen than they do their starters.
Okay, so
The bullpen is the offensive line.
with the NFL no longer in I formations and two back sets and one person's in motion and stuff like that, is it that we're just in a time period where there aren't great running backs, or is that by design? Because we were
No,
talking,
it's
you
by
mentioned in the
design. Those guys aren't playing the run. Like you take someone of Tyreek Hill's size and stature.
okay,
30 years ago, he's a running back.
but he's also 5. Okay, but he works better in the slot. He
No,
works
no, no,
better in the
no, no,
position he
no.
is.
He works better in the slot now.
So you think Tyreek Hill is
Shorter,
a go
a
ahead.
100%,
I don't
hundred
think he
percent.
makes. I see. I don't think he's not. I don't think he was strong enough because you still need to be. Barry Sanders for his height was still sturdy and struck as a rock. Dave Meggett was real thick. That's why you could run him between tackles. I don't think you could run Tyreek Hill between tackles. Like they tried to. Who's the guy in San Francisco who they
Debo
who
Samuel, but the game is not played that way, so he's not.
but but when they tried to put Debo Samuels in the backfield last year, he got.
Dave Meggett 5'7", 190. Tyreek Hill 5'10", 195. So it's really the same person.
You said 5'7", 190.
Yeah, he was fucking
Yes.
tiny.
So, but he's 5'7", 190 means that 190 is all muscle,
Yeah.
is my
Have you ever
point.
seen Tyreek Hill? He's a lot of muscle, buddy. I'm
I'm
just telling
saying
you.
if
You're asking me. It's like my girlfriend. You ask me the fucking question. I give you the answer. You don't like the answer. Then don't ask me the fucking question.
well, I'm
Okay?
asking.
I, they would
Well,
have been running backs back then.
okay,
They
they
didn't
would have been
have
running backs,
receiver. They
but
didn't have 5'7", 5'8" receivers back then. Receivers were all tall and lumbering on the outside. Okay?
I see
Guys
what you're
under
saying.
6 foot were running backs.
But what I'm saying
They
then,
didn't
if
have the
in
slot
that,
receiver. The slot receiver was the third down running back. They've now moved
yeah,
that person out to the slot.
and they put them on there full time. Yeah, I no, I understand that, but you mentioned that I was more asking. So that running back's not there is because they've moved running
They've
backs
moved
around, is
that
what you're
position.
saying.
The
So
person doesn't play there. The person doesn't grow up playing there.
who am I trying to? I'm trying to think of a you know. So if Bo Jackson comes up today, where is he playing? If Bo
Uh,
Jackson, if you know, if
Bo Jackson's probably playing fucking tight end. He's probably like an inline, like speed tight end, it's gonna be a
like
bad comparison, like an
I
Evan
was gonna,
Ingram.
I was
But
gonna
I
say
mean, Evan Ingram's
like
not.
what
No,
Evan
I know
Ingram
what I
was
compare
supposed to
him to is
be.
going to be the athlete.
No, like every Ingram, like what's the guy here in Atlanta? Is Evan Pitts? I was gonna say that he
Yeah,
went to
the Kyle
Florida.
Pitts, the kid from Florida, Kyle
Kyle Pitts,
Pitts. Yeah,
who you look, I would look at coming out. I'm like, wow, he's gonna be amazing. But Bo Jackson would actually have been amazing. But yeah, because now
again,
I
now
didn't,
you're also talking about an outlier though, with a guy like Bo Jackson. You know what I
and
mean?
that I guess, but that was my question. There were outlier running backs like that, and like Walter Payton, like Bo Jackson, like yeah, I mean, like that were there, like Barry Sanders.
Right.
Is it we don't have? Is that person just not exist anymore, or they
No, they
where is
do. They're
this?
just playing a different position
Okay,
because
all
you're
right,
not having an alpha dog running back, even in high school, like you said.
yeah, because they do but I've
Because they
seen
spread them
Alpha
out
Dog.
and they
I
run
did
them
see
down
Alpha
the
Dog, but
field.
they do spread them out. They do move it around. So
Now, I coach a high school football team that's completely out of whack. We just got a transfer back from Don Bosco, who we knew we were probably getting back.
mhm,
He's 6'1, 230.
okay,
And then we have a kid who's going to play small D1 football at defensive end. He's 6'3, 245.
okay.
We're going to have the 230 guy play fullback and the 245 guy play tailback.
And you're gonna go I formation.
We will wear an offset eye because we're in the shotgun,
Okay.
and we just lead block with the 230 guy. So you have to get through him
And you also have to defend the fact that either
and
one of
then
them could
tackle the
split wide or
245-pound guy. Good luck in a single A high school football game where the linebackers are like 175, 180. The middle linebacker has to play through the 230-pound block and tackle the 245-pound guy.
so the safety's gonna have to come up and help, right?
A good, a
I'm not
single A high school safety. How big is that guy?
5'6",
Buck
maybe
40, buck
one. Yeah,
50.
but well, look,
It's like Alex
165.
Bleeker coming up to make the tackle.
He had the ability. He could have at the very least. I think he could have been a good.
Alex
He would
Bleeker
have been a good
catching
safe.
Alex Bleeker catching strays, huh?
Seriously, I thought I would have said Blinker could have probably been a good free safety. He had the range, but he wasn't going to come up and hurt anybody. But he could have got to balls.
Oh, so we're a very big outlier, which is going to be fun to watch.
So
And
that's
my
not
coach
even
will hand it
fair.
off. My coach will hand it off every play. If we don't throw a pass, he'll be totally happy with that.
Well, runs the clock as well. We're running clock, and I wanted to talk. I was talking about starting running backs, starting pitchers, and running backs. We're also in a glut as far as two-way center fielders. The days of Bernie Williams and Lance Johnson, Ricky Henderson, Carlos Beltran, all those were Mets and Yankees. But Andy Van Slyke, where you had a center fielder who you knew could defend center field, and you also knew was going to at least give you 270 with 15 home runs and some stolen bases, something like that. From Tim Britton in The Athletic, the quality two-way center fielder has become an endangered species in the major leagues. Center fielders have
Interesting.
produced below league average numbers offensively in each of the last 8 seasons.
Okay, makes sense.
I, I said all that to say the Mets' number one prospect, Jet Williams, and a center fielder, is now in Syracuse. He just got moved up. Carson Benhay, I probably mispronouncing his name, another athletic outfielder. He's been called to the AAA. There's pitchers, Tong and McNeil and Sprout. If you've been listening to FAN, I'm sure you've heard their names 8,000 times because those guys should be up here
They
and
should be
everything like
here.
that.
The
They
Joe
should be
Williams is
here.
not
Yeah.
a.
Yeah. All that stuff like that. Here's my question. What's the backup plan? What's
What
the
do you mean?
qualifier? If you bring Tong or McNeil or McLean or Sprout up, are you asking them to go 5, 6 innings right from jump? Or is that what you're asking this kid who literally was just pitching against 18-year-olds a couple days ago?
No,
Is
you're
he
asking
the
him to go 4.5 to 5 innings, like
so
everybody
you want
does in
so
Major League Baseball.
so he should be the one that goes 4.5? Is there any added pressure or any worry is not the right word, but concern about putting a starting pitcher right into the midst of a playoff run right from jump?
I mean,
You got to start at
Been,
sometime.
it's been done before.
Yeah, it
Again,
has.
is he any worse than Clay Holmes or Frankie Montas?
Well, Clay Holmes, no. Clay Holmes, he's worse than, yes, he's worse than Clay Holmes. Frankie
Is he a
Montas,
lot worse than Clay Holmes?
oh no, no, I well,
Is he a lot
look,
worse than Frankie
oh
Montas?
no, I'm not arguing against Frankie Montas. That's my expectation is Frankie Mont. Here's the thing, if we're gonna stick on the Mets, Paul Blackburn's gonna be the next person up
Right.
before you go to Frankie. Frankie Montas got this one shot, and now I gotta believe Paul Blackburn's in that next slot for going forward at the very least.
Frankie
But I feel
Montas
they're
got
gonna.
this one opportunity. Would you? Oh, sorry.
I figure they got to go to a six-man rotation soon enough. What about your team? Is Judge is Judge's missing in the outfield this significant? He's back DHing, right?
Yeah, but he's still not right. Well, it just weakens the lineup because you can't have him and Stanton in the lineup together, really.
Yeah, because
Can't play the outfield. So you
yeah.
just like,
Mm.
yeah, it just weakens the lineup. It does for a lineup that's not hitting.
How on a scale of 1 to 10, how worried, concerned are you about missing the postseason?
10 being the highest, like most concerned,
10,
probably like a
10.
probably like a 4. Like I know people say, "Oh, I haven't played well since June 13th." People pull out a date. Like
Yeah.
they've got good players. Like you know, they're good. They're so good. Like they're not.
I,
Again, the rhetoric we listen to is just so funny. Yeah, I got in a discussion, but at the beginning of the Astro series, and this goes to like a deeper discussion
mm,
of would you rather your team be in it every year but not win kind of thing.
yeah.
So over the last 8 seasons that Aaron Boone has been the manager,
Mm-hmm.
right? The Yankees have the third best record in baseball. Behind what two
Mm-hmm.
teams do you think?
I believe it would be the Dodgers and I want to say the probably not the Braves because they had a couple of slip ups, but it might be. But Houston,
The Astros. Okay.
yeah,
And now the Astros and Dodgers have won 2 World Series in that time.
yeah.
The
Well,
Yankees have been in 4 ALCSs and a World Series. I know they haven't won. Believe I've
mm,
listened to the radio. I know they haven't won. But so I said so they're right up there record wise with the other two teams, right?
yep.
Okay, they haven't won a World Series, but they're in the playoffs every year. They're a legit contender every year, whether you think so or not, dumb Yankee fan. I said, so their owner, general manager, and manager can't all be incompetent, which is what
Yes, yes,
someone
they
has to
can.
be competent in there
Yes,
if
they
they're
can. They can be all incompetent.
they can't
Be-
all be the worst manager, the worst GM, and the worst owner ever because
and yeah,
somebody owns the A's.
and and put together a team that's been this good. But that you're
Right.
still,
Again,
yeah.
I'm not saying it doesn't have its flaws. I don't think Aaron Boone's a great manager, but again, someone has to be doing something remotely right. Somebody, somewhere.
You
Because
mentioned
now the
his
thing
name.
is, they posted the Yankees like front office, like their VP of scouting,
Oh,
and
good
now their whole
Lord.
thing is to advocate firing all these people. The guy on the
Are you
radio was going
serious?
today. The guy
Are
was
you
there, Damon Oppenheimer. What does he do?
are you serious?
Yeah, he fucking he's the head of scouting, asshole. He knows more baseball than you'll ever know, and
It,
that's what he does. He heads up the foreign scouting. I mean, what
see,
is he like now
the
that this is
thing
a big thing because they've all been in place for like 15 years. Yeah, you know what the Yankees been doing over the last 15 years? Winning
when
baseball games.
here so do can there's never going to be, but all those people who call in, wouldn't you like to be able to turn it around and be like, you know what? That guy Jet who's working right next to you, he's doing your job better. We should get rid of
Yeah,
you.
because you're too
It's
busy
like,
calling the fucking radio station when you're supposed to be working.
oh, it all of this is a good transition to the trivia question. You mentioned Aaron Boone. And before about his lineage. I'm going to trim this down because I don't have that much time. But Raymond Otis Boone was born in 1923 in San Diego. He'd be buried there 81 years later after playing over 1,300 games in the big leagues, a couple All-Star appearances, a couple top 20 finishes in the MVP back in the 40s and 50s and such
Yeah,
like that. I'm sorry, he made his major league debut in Cleveland. I have enough time in 1948, Patricia Dorothy Boone, his wife, a synchronized swimmer who swam with Esther Williams.
Okay,
Yes, that Esther Williams,
there you
one
go.
of the most popular movie stars of the 40s and 50s with credits like Million Dollar Mermaid, Neptune's Daughter, Gators When Wet,
You're gonna
and
ask me a
Bathing Beauty.
Esther Williams question?
No, but Esther Williams deserves her side. But it's okay. Uh, went on. He had Bob Boone. Bob Boone grew out west. He had 6 Gold Gloves. He'd finished by the 90s. His oldest son would make his debut with Seattle in a couple years. Brett Boone, 4 Gold Gloves, 3 All-Star game appearances. The whole point is the Boone family, they've got experience. They know what they're doing. It comes back to Aaron Boone, out of this family of baseball players who all play in the major leagues, he has the most stolen bases of all of his family in their 12-year career. Ray Boone stole 21 bases, Bob Boone stole 38 bases, Brett Boone stole 94 bases. I'm not going to ask you. I just told you how many stolen bases Aaron Boone had, didn't I? He's
So
got
you say he has the
107.
most.
He's
Okay,
got the most,
okay.
107. In his abbreviated 54-game stay in the Bronx in 2003, how many stolen bases did Aaron Boone have? And during his time in pinstripes, he would actually sweat more bases than he would freely trot around the bases by hitting a home run.
Yeah, but he hit one big home run. That's all that matters. Aaron Bleeping Boone. Let's say 13 stolen bases.
All right, 13 is the number. Thank you for listening to the latest Mets Up, a moment of clarity before a torrent of tears or cheers. I'll be back soon enough with hopefully something better to put down. Take it easy down your life's highway and have a good evening.